Chapter 1 15 Minutes from Everywhere. Mrs. Thompson. Everybody thought they knew Nelita Choate Thompson. They had discovered, for example, that she was the daughter of an aristocratic Southern family, the William L. Choates of Chesterfield County, Virginia, and a direct descendant of the eminent lawyer-orator-statesman Rufus Choate, legendary patriarch of the illustrious Choates of Basten. They had learned, not necessarily indirectly, that she was born within the shadows of Jefferson's glorious Monticello, that she was a superior hostess, her lavish society parties, catered by the Marmont, were the talk of Hollywood, and a devoted patron of the arts. The Marmont's charter guest was not only blue blood, but also blue book. Everyone who came in contact with Nelita Choate Thompson, even the most casual acquaintance, had to admit that she was not the typical society matron of the day. The most obvious difference was her age. When Nelita and her husband, wealthy manufacturing jeweler-turned-architect Carl H. Thompson, moved to Chateau Marmont shortly after its opening in February 1929, she had been out of college less than 7 years. Her numerous impressive accomplishments at Stanford were still fresh, beacons for other young women to follow. And, unlike her colleagues, she zealously avoided recognition for her philanthropic endeavors. Photographers found her more slippery than the FBI's most wanted criminals when they aimed cameras in her direction. Even her closest friends were at a loss to explain why she refused to allow her lovely likeness to appear in print. At Stanford, according to her yearbook, Nelita was one of the most popular and brilliant girls on the campus. In addition to winning the Phi Beta Kappa key for scholarship in her junior year, she participated in college dramatics, assisted in editing one of the college journals, was a member of the Women's Conference and Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority. More than anything, Nelita loved to write, and she used her considerable talents to voice her opinions on raging campus issues in the pages of the Stanford Illustrated Review. No person or subject intimidated her. When an editorial authored by a prominent professor infuriated her, she countered, "The literary tone of the Illustrated Review should not be lowered by illiterate contributors." When the Women's Conference attempted to control the actions of her classmates, she wrote, "The conference is involving itself in endless complexities when it attempts to arbitrarily establish laws of good taste. Provincialism, restraint, puerile rules, and the stupid compliance to such regulations are not worthy of the real Stanford woman, who, regardless of a few foolish exceptions, is capable of thinking for herself, deciding for herself, and acting for herself." When the university fixed the number of women students at 500, commonly referred to as the Stanford 500, she lashed out. "The education of both sexes must be equally full and complete. The rights of one sex, political or otherwise, are the same as those of the other sex, and this equality of rights must be fully recognized." At the Marmont, Nelita was considerably less outspoken, at times quiet as a sponge. In fact, it was her willingness to act the role of a sympathetic listener, coupled with her ability to respond with only the most appropriate comments or questions, that earned her so many friends. Her genuine fondness for people made it seem perfectly natural when she appointed herself to the unofficial position as the Marmont's official greeter. She made it her business to meet all incoming guests, and no one, least of all the celebrated who held a special attraction for her, escaped her most gracious welcome. It wasn't long before she charmed her way into their confidences, in the process discovering fascinating stories and tidbits of information beyond her wildest imagination. What the guests failed to discover about Nelita was that she led a double life. As Pauline Payne, she was a crackerjack reporter for the Hearst newspapers, often competing with Adela Rogers St. John's, covering scandalous trials and sensational happenings within the motion picture industry. Her daily syndicated column, The Merry-Go-Round, reached millions of devoted followers across the nation, who doted on her outspoken revelations, scoops unwittingly provided, in large part, by her unsuspecting neighbors at the Marmont. After all, she had a wealth of intriguing and ever-changing subjects only scant seconds from the doorway of her suite. Jean Aker had been a leading lady in silent films long before she registered at Chateau Marmont, but her greatest claim to fame came as a result of her marriage to a bit player named Rudolph Valentino in 1919 and their divorce, following his incredible success with the Chic in 1921. Jean Aker never relinquished her married name, using it not only in private life but also as a screen credit. Mrs. Rudolph Valentino, as she insisted on being addressed,